He'll be and Relico he's trying to figure out how to play this with him, because he obviously thinks he's a step ahead in it. He's like, well, it's like I could understand that. I was merely looking for something I could use to handle it myself. I wouldn't want to waste the time of people important enough to being doing business directly for the king. Surely I would never mean to impugn on that.
Well, I tell you what, we've got a thing that we've got to do that we could use a similar device for. So how long would it take you just to whip up 2 and send him on his way?
I mean, device is maybe overstating it. It's more like I'm going to do some bullshit on my lockpicks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe build something to do it, but we're talking about weeks of research at least.
So he'll look at it. Oh, so you could enchant you can enchant a lockpick.
I can enchant pretty much anything I set my mind to. I have some time.
He'll say, well, I mean, I could be. I would be definitely interested in such a device. I mean, I could see that having a myriad of uses in the adventurer line of work. And he said, "Is like at the moment, I don't have as much monetary compensation as I would ordinarily, though I could have come by some." And talking to himself, but if you have business that would need someone with, say, skills involving remaining unseen and entering a building unseen, I could be persuaded to provide help.
And at this point, you hear Tom's voice at the top of the stairs, where he's come down just enough to get a look at the room, and he holds up his hand and says, "I'm still getting cut into this, right?"
Probably shouldn't talk about this half on the street, and Alex will grab Connor's arm and bring him inside.
Yep.
I'm perfectly capable of talking to people.
I completely agree.
I absolutely agree. You are perfectly capable of talking to people. What I have a question of.
I love how Lucius said the exact same thing, just with a little stank on it, and it changed the whole meaning of the phrase.
Rallick will look at Connor and be like, "Oh, most assuredly, good sir. I'm sure you are. I'm sure that with our altercation, the misunderstanding was purely mine."
Welcome to the group, Bob.
Surely the misunderstanding was all on my part.
You know what I could do a lot of the time is I could just set my headset on the table and walk away, and nobody will even realize I'm gone, because they'll just do this for hours.
Connor narrows his eyes and says, "I don't like you."
Who do you like, Connor?
So
I like you, Gus.
Well, that's actually really nice.
Actually, I'm gonna have...
he'll just look at Connor and says, "You wound me, good sir. I meant nothing against you."
Rallick, make a religion check.
Okay.
Since Gus is standing openly with the Kodrashi fork in the room.
Oh, he's eyeing it. He's thinking of ways to get it away from Gus, but I'm sure that's not going to be that's noticeable if I tried to bump into him and sleight of hand it. So
I mean, it's not like a dinner fork.
It's a pole arm. You're not going to just shove that.
Yeah,
down
that's what I'm
pants.
saying. I'm not going to just steal it. That's only a 5 anyway.
All right, you just recognize it as a very expensive and very old-looking weapon. Then you do not realize its significance.
Oh, he's actively thinking of ways to get that away from Gus, but he doesn't right now. It doesn't seem applicable to do so. He's also not a small individual, and he appears to be well armed and armored. So,
okay. So what's next?
I say we change. I say we start things over fresh. My name is Lucius Udoc. And you are?
And he'll introduce himself at the moment as Gilmer Black.
Mr. Black, it is. Okay. You have need of our company's services. We're working for the king on a contractual basis. We're providing a service.
We are in the middle of a job, yes, but I think what that means is that we just charge surge rates, right? So if we just do surge pricing on our very reasonable rates?
while the king would be very interested to find what we've been sent here to get to procure. While that's the case, yeah, my brain just can't even right now.
He'll ask if when you say your name's Lucius, he'll be like, "Did you give just the name Lucius, or do you have a or did you say
Udok.
Lucius Udok? Lucius
Yeah, I
Udok?
did say Lucius.
He'll know when he does that, he'll kind of eye you and be like, are you the Lucius Udok of might you be of Flumph Inc? Is that who your group is here? I'm aware of your deeds. In fact, I must admit that you were, if I'm not mistaken, you were the one that came up with the Warlock insurance scheme, or your group was, and I have to admire that is a phenomenal scheme. That is great. I have heard of that.
I worked my ass off to Warlock-proof those houses. What are you talking about, scheme?
He'll just look at you. Sure.
I was down in the basement looking for runes for hours.
Pardon me. Perfectly legitimate business venture. I admire that very much.
Did you really?
Yes, Alex really seriously took. Alex took the Warlock insurance really serious. Made all kinds of checks when he did it.
Gus kind of scratches his head. The one house I did, y'all had me do, I just kind of walked around and like waved a branch around, making mumbling noises. Now I feel kind of bad.
I mean, honestly, I feel bad for taking their money in that case, Gustavus. Man, you need to have a better work ethic.
Thought you were. You know what? Never mind.
Did Lucius ever perform?
And he'll just say you should. And
insurance?
Rallick will just look. No, sir. You should never feel bad for parting a fool from his money.
I mean, I play cards a lot, so I really have no. It's a real nice glass house I'm living in. Yeah.
He'll say, "Oh, a card shop. We'll have to play sometime. I too fancy myself as a player of cards."
Well,
Under
aren't you just Mr. Everything?
Under no circumstances, sir. Under no circumstances.
Yeah, I can't wait to gamble with the guy who told me he appreciates scamming.
Yeah, you kind of opened up the wrong way there, buddy. But don't worry, we'll
go. Fair
figure things out.
enough.
Anyway, that's so we're going to need more information about what you intend to contract us for.
Right.
And I'm still getting cut in, right?
10% finder fees. That sound okay?
Yes.
He says that sounds reasonable.
We would dare not incur. We would dare not do. Cut.
Have we gone up to
finder's fee, of course?
Have we gone up to another room at this point, or are
You
we
guys are still
standing
down
there
in
in
the
the middle of the shop?
I mean, you haven't been invited into any of. I mean, there's both an
Okay.
upstairs and a downstairs from the shop where you're in, but you haven't been invited either direction.
Well, then he'll say, "Well, I merely just wanted to. I merely wanted to contract a device to help with, as I said, a particularly vexatious lock. Though I did offer services because you, therefore, mentioned that you had an issue with, and I thought perhaps I could help with that. But if we want to properly talk business, what I suggest we go to it in a less public area." And he'll kind of eye around.
Yes.
So you guys are retiring upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave Scrappy down here. There's not a lot of space up there.
Tom stays downstairs with Scrappy as well to man the shop, and you guys retreat upstairs into one of the cramped little rooms. Mad Metal has either been upstairs in the top floor, which is where his quarters are, or downstairs in the large subterranean workshop that you had seen. But you haven't seen him at all today. So we have about a half an hour before we're going to start wrapping it up. Let's see if we can get to an agreement before then. Or if we're going to end up on Golden Girls again. Either one seems equally reasonable to me,
All right.
given our history.
So, I guess the number one question is, how are you a thief of some kind?
He'll just look and says, "Well, that's rather a direct question now, isn't it?"
I'm a direct person.
Before we go any
Fair
further than this, I'm going to ask Rallick, there is a kind of cutthroat criminal that lives in Dunfoss called the Gentleman, that does his business out of Wharftown, that operates on like the very periphery of what you would consider to be like the legitimate Thieves Guild.
Right.
He does a lot of the general leg breaking stuff, and he has a reputation for being very polite, but also very brutal. So my question that we're gonna have to settle before you start having a conversation with Gus about whether or not you're a thief is whether Rallick has any history with the Gentleman, and whether that history is thumbs up or thumbs down.
I would say that the Gentleman is the kind of guy that Rallick would generally try to avoid. Like, he would be more than well aware of him, but Rallick doesn't like his methods.
Okay.
Because the Gentleman has no... To him, the Gentleman has no code, so he doesn't... Rallick has his issues, but he is very ardent on doing things the way he does, and he doesn't like the way the Gentleman does business.
So he knows the Gentleman by reputation, but has not actually done business with him at any point.
No,
Hasn't worked with or against him.
Right. He has done his best to avoid that.
So I guess the question would be then was like, obviously we've kind of established that he at least claims to be from Dunfoss, or at least have been there. Would Gus be aware of the Thieves Guild, having worked with the Gentleman?
No.
No? Okay. Just wondering.
No, there is... I would say that if any of you had any ties to the Thieves Guild in Dunfoss, they would have come up long and been established long before now. So it's fair to say that there are always mutterings that there are Thieves Guilds in every large city, but the four of you have no actual confirmation that there is, and have certainly never had any dealings with them. The closest would have been Alex, who has... you've actually visited one of the ziggurats in Gnometown before. And so you probably would be aware of Kavnokar's Eye, the college.
Sure, but they're just one of the major guilds. I mean, like,
Right.
there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's a very public guild with gnomes and illusionists and things, but that's the closest.
They're definitely better than Alex's guild, but that goes without saying for everyone.
Like if your dad hadn't forced you to join the Flowery Elf Guilds.
Yep.
And if you were a member of that college, you might have some connection with the Thieves Guild underneath, but you don't. I actually developed all this Thieves Guild stuff day one of this campaign, and it's just never, ever had to come up yet.
So
basically, his answer to Gus well, I would eschew I tend to eschew labels in general. I'm a man of many means and many occupations. Though as far as a thief, some would call adventuring thieving. So that's a matter of definition.
Gus gives Connor a very Gus kind of rubs his temple and gives Connor a look, and just kind of nods at him and says, "That wasn't an answer."
Wasn't it?
To assuage any of your concerns, sir, the we at Flumph Inc. do take the privacy of our clients with the utmost care. So anything that you say to us will be held in the strictest confidence.
And he'll look naturally. There's an attitude of professionality that I quite admire.
Unless you opt to reveal such things yourself, then our conversation will not leave this room. So I would like to know what it is that you're attempting to acquire.
And he says he'll kind of look around on that one, kind of to himself. He says, "Well, if you must know, I still don't see what my business has to do with acquiring a lockpick. Just acquiring the service of a lockpick. But I'm in need of a particular item to be presented to a particular party, and that item, the means of which I acquire it, matters very little to me. It's just more that I was asked to acquire it, and that's the end of the situation. That is what I'm going for. And though I have in that means I have many services, and so I could use such a pick as you seem to be capable of meeting out, and my offer would be in lieu of direct gold payment, which I would obviously pay you later based on agree to pay you later based on the based on the returns from procuring my item. I would offer my services in lieu of that as a surety of bond.
It's not that simple. I can't just put the magic in a lockpick and hand it to you. I have to actually be there and handling the picks myself.
We would have to be on site as well.
I'd have to be doing the actual work.
I tell you what. How about this? How about we help him with his problem on our way out of town? We can do the thing that we have to do tonight, right? And then we'll have to leave pretty quickly after that anyway. You know, to keep up with our appointments. Yes, appointments.
Oh God, what day is it? How long were we on that other plane?
You were in Sigil.
Mom, what's today's date?
You were in Sigil for at least a week, maybe more than that. But you were only away from here for 2 days, so it is now the 11th. Rallick arrived and did some legwork. Then you guys arrived after that and did what you were going to do here in Blue Worm, and then vanished mysteriously. You were gone for 2 days from his point of view, and then you resurfaced back at Mad Metal's shop. For you guys, longer than 2 days has elapsed because multiverse portals are weird.
Wow, 2 days? I guess it's better than the other way. Was it like that when you fell into the Feywild?
This is a conversation you had hours and hours ago.
Right.
So we're not flashing back to it.
Yeah.
PTSD flash.
Connor does not answer that question, but he does give a 1,000-yard stare.
But no,
Any
it's
case.
like we could do the thing that we have to do. We can meet you outside the city, since it sounds like what you're doing is some kind of dungeon delve, right? And we can maybe follow up then.
I would point out that I said no such thing. That is an assumption that you made there. But
What are you trying to do?
All right. Direct answers only. I'm
Cards
losing my
close to the
temper.
chest.
He's still just smiling at this.
You're keeping your cards. When you play cards, sir, do you not keep your cards close to your chest? Because you just gave him something away there.
Alex hands
That you're
Connor a
losing.
cigarette.
From my point of fact, I gave nothing away.
Oh
From my
man,
point of view.
But by correcting Gustavus there, you just tilted your hand and saying that in correcting him that your business takes you outside of town. Whereas it's
just so we're at extra time, he will literally do this all day, and it will argue the one about that he merely said that he didn't imply that Gus made an assumption. It could be that, it could not be that. But he would quite literally do this all day. Do this verbal thing all day. He's getting massive amusement out of it. But,
Cool. I cast Zone of Truth on whatever your name is, Mr. Black.
Well, you cast it on the room because it's Zone of Truth.
Sure.
it's his whole zone.
All right, what's the save I have to make against Zone of Truth?
Yeah, what is the
Yeah.
save on that one?
It is a charisma saving throw.
At what difficulty class?
16.
fail.
I
Alex
got
passes.
Okay.
I got a 20.
20.
A 20.
Connor, are you affected by this spell?
That's a good question.
I think we kind of played fast and loose with Zone of Truth in the past.
No, we haven't. I've been very careful to follow these rules.
Yeah, we've been even meticulous about it.
What's the spell say?
It doesn't actually say. It just says a creature.
Yeah, so all creatures in this radius are affected.
So this is something I don't know. Did he say that that's what he's casting, or did he just cast it on everybody? And then,
Well, he's not casting it on anybody.
Do you
He's
know what the
casting-
spell was?
He's casting as a point in space in the room, and then the spell has a radius. And all creatures in that radius are affected by the spell. He's not actually casting anything on you.
So you're aware that Alex passed a save. Connor, if you want to lie, I can give you a +5 to your save.
I'm I think Zone of Truth. Everybody knows they've been Zone of Truth because you can.
Yeah, failed
choose the
save.
different-
That's my question. Yeah,
Can't
does he
speak
know
yes,
that he's
everyone
not
lie
truth?
while in the radius. You know whether each creature succeeds or fails on the saving throw. What that means is Connor knows that Rallick passed the save and is able to lie even inside of the spell's radius. If you fail the save, you're not able to lie, but you do understand that you're under the zone of truth and that you can give answers that are evasive as long as they remain within the boundaries of the truth. So the situation we're in now is that Connor cast the spell. Rallick made the saving throw, so he can continue to lie, but Connor knows that he made that he passed the saving throw.
I think Gus is the only one that failed.
The only other well, Rallick, you always do have the option when I ask you to make a saving throw to purposely fail the save. Is it safe to assume that you did not purposely fail the saving throw?
Oh no, not in the slightest.
Okay. So yeah, he passed the save, and Connor, you're aware that he is not bound by the zone of truth.
I guess the other question is Connor affected by his own zone of truth?
Yes,
And does
because
he
you're a
have to make his
creature
own-
inside of the radius.
All right. I guess I will make a saving throw. I'm smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
16 on the money. All right.
So yes, I'm the only one that failed that. So what do you want to know?
He'll just now that he'll look at Connor when he does it, and he'll say, and then he'll just because obviously he doesn't know he'll failed it. He'll just say, "So what's your business? What's this job you have to do?" Then smile when he says it and see if somebody answers. Yes.
Some work here in Blue Worm. You?
He'll do it, and so like nobody's forced to answer, right? Gus doesn't have to answer.
No.
Okay. He'll be like, He's like, as I told you, I have a job in the general vicinity that I'm needing to do to acquire a particular item. I told you
Which
exactly what I
vicinity?
needed to do. The vicinity of Blue Worm.
Gus kind of just slaps his forehead and says, "This is ridiculous," which is true.
I agree. Look, I'm gonna have to be there if you want me to pop a magical lock. End of story. I'm sorry, I can't build a lock pick like that in anything less than a month. So you got to tell me what we're doing, and I'll see whatever we're working on. So why don't you just tell me if you actually want our help?
That sounded pretty truthful.
Yeah, he'll kind of look at you and believe it on that. He's like, "Look, I merely just wanted to offer my help to you, and then I would do it afterwards. Apparently, that's not going to be the case.
Like you said,
I
he has
know
to be
exactly,
honest.
and he'll just at this point he's getting even despite it, he's getting a little fed up. He'll say, "I know who you are.
Oh, you're
I know
getting
what you're
fed up.
trying. I know what you're trying to get. I know the book that you want to get. I've already tried to get it myself, and I failed on it. That's what I'm
Isn't
asking
it-
about the."
Was that so hard?
Isn't it so much better to open up on things? To just
And he'll just look at you with a completely disdainful look at that one, and he'll say,
And Gus will look at Lucius and say, "Operation annoy the person into giving us the answers we want is a success again."
I mean, we learn from the best, to be honest.
"Right."
Connor
But
just-
in any
And
case,
he'll say, "I will put." He will say, "I don't care," and he'll put this, and he'll put it, and the way he'll say it is, he says, "I'll put it to you this way. I need the book, and my goal is actually the same as yours. My goal is to ensure that the king gets the book, but I need the king to be presented to it. I need different hands to present it to the king than Flumph Inc.'s
but
is my only issue."
that's where we reach the conundrum then, because that sullies our reputation as a group of people who can get things done.
Why don't we?
Not
We'll just
necessarily.
blame our boss.
And I will go. And I will go. Look. And I will go. And Rallick will say, "No, hardly not. Like, credit for the finding of the book can absolutely go to you, and it doesn't really particularly matter who gives it to the new king. Like that can be credit going where credit's due can be handled. It's merely a means of who presents the book that is with the issue. I have a party that's more interested in doing it." And for all you know, the party that I have, you might the party I'm working for, you might curry favor with that party, and it be as beneficial as currying favor to the king.
God, cast the spell again so I can't lie, so I can just say what I want to say. All right, look. I personally don't really care too much if the king gets the book. He'll probably get it either way. He's a very powerful and influential man. I don't think our position within the court is actually that important or going to be in question by one part of a mission. Maybe we can blame it on our boss. Failure, just move failure upward. At any rate,
Our boss.
what magical defenses are on it? I'll probably need a night to prepare, and also, we actually have a first-hand. We want to get a good look at this book. This is actually important to an ongoing case of ours. Aside from that, I honestly don't care.
He actually he'll
Gives
say
it to the king.
he'll say I read the book. I can actually tell you quite a bit that was said in the book if you have anything in particular.
Yeah, but you are a liar. So
You cast Zone of Truth on me.
Oh, Connor already dismissed the spell.
can you
Okay,
dis-
Connor,
Did you
Did
tell
the
any of
Zone
them
of
that
Truth-
did you tell any of them
Before
that
going
I
any
felt it?
further, to be clear, at no point during this conversation did Rallick have any way of knowing what spell was cast. You know that a spell was cast because Connor.
Well, I know I specifically
Spoke
asked
magical
you if I
words.
knew whether he cast Zone of Truth on me.
No, you didn't.
That's what
You
I
have
was
no way of
asking.
knowing. The way you would find that out would be to use an Arcana check, essentially to detect magic.
But,
Which
I
you
mean,
can't do.
Alex literally said cast the spell again, so I can't lie.
At that point, maybe you would have got the inkling.
Right.
As a general rule, a player character only has knowledge of spells that are either on their class's spell list or that they personally have seen before.
Well, see, that was my question, because like detect thought, there are certain spells that you know that was cast on you when it fails, like with detect thoughts. So that's why I was asking with Zone of Truth, because I didn't think
You would
knew
know
whether
if you
Zone of
had
Truth-
failed the
If
save.
you'd failed to save,
Right.
They were magically. You would know that you're magically compelled to tell the truth. You wouldn't know anything else.
Right.
It's just this is something you're going to have to understand going forward. Is that Rallick has much less of a working knowledge of magic than the rest of these guys do.
Oh yes,
simply
exactly.
because he's not a spellcasting class.
Right. That's exactly why I was asking that.
So,
Because I assumed he wouldn't know anything about the nature of the spell. So
what's next?
he'll say, Rallick will say, well, I've read the book and I can answer questions on it, and I know the location of the book. I've seen it. I have two different means of getting into the manor.
Rallick, make a wisdom check.
Who, me?
Yes.
Okay. Man, I'm really good now. Straight wisdom is a 21.
As you're saying that you know the location of the book, you're thinking about it, and you know that you triggered an alarm, and you know that they searched the grounds, they know that somebody broke in. You know where the book was last night.
Oh, I was getting to that. I was going to tell them that next, but
Chances are good it's not in the same location it was last night, now that they know that somebody tried to take it. However,
that's what I was going to tell them next. I was going to say, though, you kind of stopped me before I did it. I was going to say, but the odds are they already moved the book after I triggered the alarm, because I would have told him the nature of the lock and the alarm that did it.
Okay.
So it's very likely that any other place it's stored is also going to have that. And I'd tell him, well, yeah, I'm going to leave that. That's all the knowledge I'm going to tell him at the moment.
So two things.
So
One,
you botched it.
yeah. So two things, not inspiring confidence. By the way, but first, you're a liar, Mr. Black, obviously. And two, if you try to screw us, I will break your legs.
He'll just kind of look at you with a very flat stare, like he's unimpressed by it.
I have
He'll
a
say,
hammer.
you just threatened me and actively insulted me, so pardon me if I don't take your.
I have a hammer.
So it'll just look at you. So you do.
Gustavus,
Again, staring
Gustavus.
at you flatly.
Like, I know we have a lot of fun with the Connor is not good at talking to people, but you're not much better. Let's be honest.
I talk fine to people. Why do people keep saying that?
He'll also point out that as far as he knows, he's gotten further with it than you have, because you clearly don't have the book, and he at least has seen the book and had a shot at getting it
so now that we
and has
have
read it.
Now that we're 20 minutes into this conversation, are we any closer to coming to an agreement on
I
finding
think
and
so.
getting the book? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're gonna all work together to get the book at this point. But if he betrays me, Gus has promised to break both his legs.
Both of
And this
them.
is why
Yeah.
Connor really.
And Gus will also look. I mean, he'll also look at Gus and say, "Like you agreed to help me with it. What terms would I? What reason would I have to screw you?"
Well,
Let's iron out the terms of what we're going to do. We're going to get the book.
mhm.
Sorry, go ahead, Gus.
I was gonna say, yeah, we're gonna get the book. Like the thing that Gus is worried about is what happens after we get the book. We have no way. He wants to give it to a third party to have them present it to the king. We were hired we were asked specifically to hand it to the king. So, is there any way that both parties can get credit? Can both parties be present to hand it to the king?
So I'll answer that for you. What you guys would be trading away is you guys have to choose. Do you fulfill your job to the king and bring him the book because he requested that you bring it directly to him? Or do you give up some currency with the king in order to gain currency with whatever third party Mr. Black says he works for? That's the trade-off here.
Honestly, honestly presenting it that way, I think that we're gonna get a major reputation boon with the people of Dunfoss in general and the people of Osprey in particular by returning this fork to them.
He'll say, what I'm offering you is a chance to expand your influence with parties beyond merely just the king, though admittedly that is a powerful influence.
And Rallick, now you know that the fork that Gus is carrying is of great importance to the Temple of Osprey.
Oh yeah, he noted that.
So I guess the question now is this a decision that you guys can make without knowing who this third party is?
No,
No,
absolutely not.
Gus is against it.
If you tell us who the third party is, that will make the decision much easier.
Unless it's Mr. Third Party.
Yes.
Literally, Mr. Third Party.
So I guess what the decision for Black is a definite no versus a maybe no.
I don't that puts me in position because things I don't know is I don't know whether I can safely reveal that or not.
That's up to you.
That's I don't know the nature of what it is.
Thieves Guild is not a military organization. It's not a rank and file kind of situation. If you get the job done and you had to bend some rules a little bit, you do know that Flumph Inc. is very influential in Dunfoss. I mean, the weeks leading up to the change of crown, several of the different claimants to the throne were claiming that Flumph Inc. were their allies. You had Percival Penniless saying that, and Ten Sails saying that as well. So it's possible that revealing the existence of this Thieves Guild to this detective agency that is already so close to the king, when your boss's desire is to get close to the king, might be beneficial. It's just you don't know that for sure.
Also,
Right.
to point out, Connor is not speaking for Flumph Inc. here. Obviously, Alex and Lucius have.
Yeah, he's actually gonna. That was his thing. He was gonna ask. He's gonna do. With Lucius and Alex, he's going to look at the two of them. Is what about the two of you? Are you hard and fast requiring that knowledge, or do you speak for your group?
I mean, there's no way I'm gonna let you take the book to a nebulous organization I don't know about. At least giving it to the king, I'm giving it to the pirate I know.
Yeah, agreed.
That said, I think Ten Sails was the best king for the time. I'm glad that we have some power being in his service, but I'm not in love with the man.
What? Yeah, he's an asshole.
Right. So he's gonna say.
Well, okay? Let's do it this way. Do you in this matter you are the representative of whatever organization, right? Correct? So
I am representing an organization in this.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So if you're with us when we hand the book, over, would that satisfy the requirements you were under?
Under the auspices of my contractor, that I do not believe that would be the thing. That would be the case.
That's correct. She told you to bring the book back to the guild to ensure that the king's men did not get it.
Right. It is.
Quick
There
flump
are
thing
many-
aside. Can I get one here, guys?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll grab. And I'll even include Connor. I'll motion for him to come over.
Oh yeah, I thought Connor was on the payroll now.
He is. But he was saying he wasn't acting for Flumping Curlers. I'm just gonna make sure it's sort of explicit, and I'll whisper among them, "Look, working for the king is great and all. I'm most interested in getting out of the debt for Corio. All I care about with this book is not fucking things up worse and getting any information we can about Eldov out of it. I say if
Agreed.
we want somebody else to hand it over, just hand it over. I just want to do something about my student loans."
How much? I don't know.
33,500.
He will, and if you come when you come back to Rallick, he has something to say with it too.
Yep.
All of that platinum. All of that platinum. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
You would have been frozen in there.
Well, I imagine what would have happened is that we wouldn't have been able to get the fork.
Yeah.
Who needs the fork when you have the platinum? Anyway, I'm done. I'm done.
Anyway, yes, we have very reasonable rates. 33,500 gold, right?
Terrible Florian impression, but we would need some kind of remuneration to settle our own debts.
He said, "Was that what Tin Cells had promised them was remuneration for it, or is it just for currying favor?"
We work for him. He's our boss now.
Yeah, we're not telling you what we were promised.
Mm-hmm. He'll say there are numerous entities within Dunfoss that would seek to curry favor with the king. And they cover a variety of fields, and I am currently contracted by one of them that has quite a lot of power. That has quite a lot of power and influence in Dunfoss, and would be a means of occurring monetary would allow you more avenues of acquiring monetary compensation.
How about this? And tell me if you disagree. We get the item, and then we leave it open that we will meet with the people and then decide.
Can you get us to sit down?
And then that because like I think all of us would be much more open to what like you're just offering like vague offers of stuff. A little more concrete numbers are provided, needed kind of thing, just to get the ball rolling. We get the thing, we take it back, and then before we report in to Tin Cells.
He's going to say he's looking at you and he's kind of thinking about it, and he looks at each of you in turn, and you can. He's just kind of has a blank face while he's saying it.
Make a wisdom check, Rallick.
He says, "I think such a thing could be." What'd you say?
Make a
I
wisdom
said, "I think."
check.
Huh?
Make a wisdom check.
Make a wisdom check. Okay.
If your employer is a fake creature.
That's a 13.
Oh.
Nin would probably agree to this, if only because he would be able to disguise the nature of the Thieves Guild and present it as some other organization.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to say. I think, given the position that you have within Dunfoss, I think such a thing could be arranged. I think my contractor would probably benefit from the meeting as much as you would.
All right, how close are we
Alright,
to an
then.
agreement? One more minute.
I think we're in an accord. I
I
think we have an accord.
I want one final promise. No fey bullshit.
He'll bow to you and says, "That, sir, I can absolutely guarantee."
good.
We don't make that guarantee. Now we're gonna run into Faye. Come on.
Don't ever
From-
guarantee the Fae won't show up, because then they show
From
up.
myself, anyway. He'll say that. From myself, anyway.
So, now what we can do...
Let's plan a stupid heist.
Should just save this map again real quick.
Probably a good idea.
Since that's the 80th time I've had to redraw that hallway. And I'm going to set up a straw poll so people can do some voting tonight. And when we come back next week, we will see about robbing this book. I also wanted to wrap up some of the stuff that happened in Sigil, because I know you guys had some questions about stuff, because it ties into a previous campaign. Just give me 2 minutes to set this up, and then we can do that.
I'm willing to come up with blips and shit. Who's the most creative today?
That's a good question. Like,
Alex. For his insistence, we check. Listen, we've got to check for the insistence of we've got to check out this other portal where this water is shooting out, because Lord Taker. I know your reasoning. Lord Taker's the kind of asshole that is where we would have to go, and the other one was a literal toilet. I get Destil's reasoning there. So,
All right,
Like-
and who furthered the party's goals the most today?
Well, before we get to that,
Oh.
because I know we wanted to do a meeting with the Mind's Eye in Sigil before you left, and we didn't have time. We can say
Yeah.
that meeting happened, and you talked to just a zealot. The explanation behind the strips of paper you were given is that each one is enchanted with an extremely limited version of the wish spell. The idea is you write down a mundane, non-magical object, something that's no bigger than like 1 cubic foot. And when you write that down on the piece of paper, the paper will be consumed and will transform into the object. They give these pieces of paper to clueless that come into the city. They tell you it's to kind of impress upon them the idea that even the simplest things in reality can be melded to become the nature of all things. But it really sounds like a cult to you. They do this in order to, and there are a large number of clueless who come into Sigil and become enchanted by these stories, and it becomes pretty clear this is where some of the acolytes of Osprey that have come through over the years have ended up.
Okay.
Keelian, when I was first designing the vault, I asked McDohl whether Keelian would steal from any of his companions. And he told me that he wouldn't. So, what actually ended up happening, because Liberation was the last one to be armed with that staff, but Liberation went out to the Plane of Fire to work in the City of Brass, where this Staff of Thunder does not work very well, because it's a staff that controls weather, and it's based in a deity of water, and it just didn't have any power on the Plane of Fire. So rather than risk it getting damaged or stolen, Liberation offered it over to Keelian to put in his vaults, and Keelian did. That's how Keelian ended up with the staff. At no point did it ever come back home. Whether or not Liberation's still alive and out there, I actually don't know the answer to that question. He may well be.
I have an answer to that question, but I'm not going to talk about that.
How could you possibly know if I don't know? And the Fork was the same way, because Riot had worked with Liberation a lot in the early days in the City of Brass. She forsook Osprey, and when that happened, she lost control over the Fork, which was, again, tied to an ocean deity. Didn't have a lot of power on the Plane of Fire. So it was kind of a deal. They gave those things over to Keelian in order to, for safekeeping, to keep in his vaults until such a time. I don't think Riot ever had any plan to come back and retrieve it. Like, she probably just thought it was funny that it ends up locked in a vault forever. And what else was there? I think that might have been it actually for Sigil.
So I do have one question. So like obviously we all wish for like a 1 cubic foot of platinum, right? How much is 4 cubic feet of platinum worth?
Lucius would absolutely not be wishing for a cubic foot of platinum. That's ridiculous.
Well, you have the little pieces of paper, and you know what they do now.
Mhm.
I think that was it for as far as questions we had about Sigil that didn't get answered. Oh, I guess so. The nature of the final adventure in that campaign was the faction war, and one of the things that happens at the end of the faction war, it's actually printed in the module, that they have to cast a spell called the Sigil spell, which involves them drawing out a sigil on the streets of Sigil that spans the entire city in order to trap and defeat Rowan Darkwood's like crazy future insane self. And the nature of this spell is such that it warps the fabric of Sigil and can be reshaped using one word, and the word the party chose was liberation. So from that day forward, it became impossible to keep anything locked up in Sigil. You can't lock somebody up in prison. You can't put something in a vault. Doors don't stay locked. If you try to hide people or objects or information, it becomes the nature of those things to desire to be found. Which is why Keelian had to design a vault that wasn't technically locked in any way, but still made sure to dispose of would-be thieves.
So, how would
Awesome.
the Lady of Pain is just cool with that? You just changed the whole nature of Sigil.
Well, I'll say this. Keelian didn't actually appear in the adventure.
Ah, you're not
So-
going to tell me if he
My
actually got
question is,
mazed.
wait
huh?
a second. Is that more powerful? Like, does that mean mazes don't work?
That's a very good question.
Keelian is Rowan Darkwood, so he's somewhere.
Well, unless he got obliterated because she doesn't maze people anymore.
Oh, that's
still-
right. She does some. She used to flay people.
Yeah, she could still flay like a badass.
All of these mysteries are things that Flumph Inc. will probably never untangle. in their
Who the
existence.
hell wants to go back to Sigil? Ugh.
Some of the
Wasn't
Sigil
that
stuff. Some of the Sigil stuff was actually from the second edition faction war. Like it tells you what happens to the various factals and which factions still operate. The Mind's Eye faction is one that joined together from the Godsman, which was Liberation's alma mater, and the Sign of One. So those two factions came together to form something called the Mind's Eye, which then went on to run the Forge from that point. And the only factal that explicitly survived the faction war was Factal Rees. So I think that kind of mops up the rest of the Sigil stuff. So yeah, I had to design a vault in a city where you can't lock anything.
Good job.
And it involved a weird puppet sex parlor. Which should just be a feature of all dungeons, now that I'm thinking of it. Like, that just should be standard. Alright, I'm going to step away for 2 minutes so you guys can figure your blips.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get a new Pepsi and come back.
All right. So creative was Alex, and
For the party's goals the most today.
See, I thought that might have been Alex, but it was
I'm
hard
gonna
to-
say Gus for actually just going in there and taking the fork. Nobody else did that. Like the single most important thing we did.
Yeah.
He also
Yeah.
did the. He also is the one that shut the gate and slid
Oh,
down,
yeah.
so y'all could go down the thing. So
Who was a badass today?
I don't know what badass. I was gonna say Gus Intangible for just sliding his ass down the chute instead of like climbing down, but
I'm going to
Uh.
give badass to. I got to give that one to Rallick for just being the slip. Like he was locked into a room with the four of us. We're incredibly dangerous, outnumber him, and he's just being so fucking infuriatingly coy.
Yeah.
that's who he is.
Yep. And intangibles.
Mhm.
I kind of want to give that to Lucius again for his hands being intangible.
Yeah.
That is just great, but
Yeah,
that,
I
what a
mean-
weird plot point. But
Like,
I mean, I kind of wanted to give it to Lucius for going down the super fun happy slide and not dying, but
Oh yeah, no, that's a good one too. Like I know you're trying to. Bricko tried to get that last 4 hit points from you, and
he
you
did.
deny.
He really did. But,
Hmm.
that's something I'm gonna have to ask Brickard when he comes back because I don't really want to have to deal with this not having a concentration. slot for the rest of
I'm
my
assuming
life.
after you left Sigil, if not after you left the dungeon, your hands are probably normal.
I don't know. Brickard's kind of a dick. He did take away. He did take away a player character's eyes one time.
that is a thing that he did. Yeah,
Yeah, but that was
unbelievably.
nodal.
That is also a fair point. That was indeed nodal. Yeah.
Remind me to do the hour recall ritual on the fork, because I've done said I'm going to do that, and
Oh no!
I've done expressed my desire to do it, so I'm not going to back out now.
You should
He's so
probably let
tired
him
of
know
Osprey.
before.
He's so
Alex-
tired of Osprey.
Alex's thought for the fork is to get a sending out to Captain Vinmus and see if the merfolk fighting the chaos creatures from the horrible realm of beyond have any clerics or priests of Osprey to give it to.
I was
That's
just,
what Alex is gonna suggest.
Don't give, get money.
I was gonna suggest we sell it to the king, and have that way he could present it to the Church of Ostrom and gain their
Well, the
backing.
king is going to say if we got it while we were on his job, it's his property.
Yeah.
The king is the only person you can't sell it to.
We should get lots of money for this holy relic. Very valuable. Reasonable rates.
I mean, I'm okay with selling it, I guess. Although, like, I still feel really, really freaking bad about we got Yashnars killed for it.
Wait, who got Yashnars killed?
We did as a group. It's
Wait,
we? Okay, wait. We? What's this we thing you're talking about? Treble.
Listen to them, Treble. Wow. Just abandon you.
I mean,
Called-
look, none of
it's
us put
called
that
the-
monster in the dungeon. Pretty sure this is all on Keelian.
Yeah.
Known
Yeah.
Keelian quote Keelian colon known murderer.
By the way, I don't know if any of you guys are running campaigns or if you even own this Tome of Beasts, but I highly recommend that Bones Form monster. Just
I hated
because
that thing.
just because it has the ability to engulf somebody, and that every time you attacks after that point have a chance of hitting the person who's engulfed instead of the monster.
Does that mean it's going to be in the next campaign too?
It
Go
might
for a
be.
hat trick?
I
Go
like-
for a hat trick?
I like it quite a lot. It's a relatively high level monster too, but it has like limited application, and it's really good for that point in the campaign where players are starting. Oh, like we're like high enough level now. Like we can basically take any kind of monster. It's nice throwing a curveball monster like that right at that point in the campaign.
Our group is so imbalanced that I have no. I just don't think that. I think
So who had the most creative solution to a problem this session?
that was Alex for his insistence that we check the exit, the water pooping portal, water peeing portal. I don't know.
And who furthered the party's goals the most?
That was
Give it to
Gus.
Gustavus for actually being the one to flush us all down the toilet and then pick up the fork.
And who was the badass?
It was Rallick for sitting in a room with 4 people he knows is dangerous, and then being just the smuggest, most coy SOB he could possibly be.
And intangibles?
Lucius
Okay.
for going down the happy fun slide.
Also, his hands are intangible again.
No, we already gave it to me for that one the last time.
The happy
Speaking
fun
of
slide
which,
works.
Brick Road. I don't want to have to deal with this chaos nonsense again. Please don't make me.
I mean, you don't have to deal with it as long as you concentrate on it. So the thing is, though, at some point Lucius is going to have to take a long rest, and you cannot concentrate through a long rest. I don't know if you've ever tried concentrating on something for 8 straight hours, but it is exhausting. So while you're resting, somebody else is going to have to be on hand duty.
Oh. All right.
Then we're gonna have to fix that, I guess, because that's.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a persisting thing.
Oh yes, it has not fixed itself.
I hated it last time it happened to me, and I hate it now. I seriously do.
We'll get it fixed.
That just means I've done my job correctly.
We'll get it fixed.
Rallick has our straw poll for the week.
Cool.
Oh, I guess we did this backwards. I guess I should I should have asked for personal blitz first. Who wants to go first?
I'll go
Gus,
first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alex, go.
So, Ideal, the dead deserve dignity for dealing with Yashnar's body after that whole incident. And Flaw, I'm sure we can handle this for wanting to swim up the waterfall. I was going to try hammering pittons into the ground to climb up it.
I don't know if you guys have ever actually read the D&D 3.5 like epic level handbook, but it is one of the stupidest D&D books I've ever read, because it's filled with stuff like that. Like, oh, if your swim score is 30, you can swim up a waterfall. Come on.
Yep.
So dumb. Gus, you want to go next?
Yes. A neutral good. I must be a benefactor and strive to leave things in a better state than I found it. For my insistence of, we need to pass. It's not a lot of information, but maybe it'll increase these people's chance of surviving on the food room.
Oh, that was the other answer I had for you. So, you guys have no knowledge of this because none of you are planner characters, but planner, which is an actual word in Planescape, it means a person who was born out on the plains. Anybody who's not born on the prime material. They are more attuned to portals than prime material people are. So there's actually a skill called portal sense, which most planners have some kind of instinctual way to do it, but you can actually learn a skill to know not only where, like, that there's a portal there, but also where it goes. Get a sense of what's on the other side. So everybody in that room already knew that this was a wandering portal. It would have been obvious to anybody but the clueless. However, it was a very heroic thing to do, to go back and tell them, not knowing they were going to laugh at you for it.
Right. I mean, I figure at this point, you know, if getting laughed at stops Gus from doing things, he would never do anything. Anyway, Ideal, my companions are my support structure. I must do what I can to protect them from themselves. For going with Alex's attempts to check that water portal, and like knowing that I would get hurt doing so.
Okay.
And then the video, and I'm done.
Who's next?
Connor will go.
Connor, what you got?
Alignment, neutral good. Good acts exist beyond the realms of order and chaos, and achieving them is the most important thing. For demanding that we sell the fork rather than just giving it to the priest, an attempt to solve our debt problem.
Of course, you could trade it to the priest in return for like a restoration spell for Lucius's hands.
Good.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
But also, we're still, as Alexander likes to remind us, we are in $33,500 or gold worth of debt. So,
It's a
Ideals, I must warn everyone of the very real dangers of Fey and Fiends and Fey and Undead and Fey and other monsters for demanding that Rallick assure Connor no Fey are involved with this nameless organization before he agreed to anything. And flaws, subtlety, and diplomacy are not in my lexicon.
Didn't come up.
For generally dealing with Rallick.
Yeah, didn't come up. Not really applicable.
Nope.
Yeah, no,
Connor.
it never came up.
I love the panic in the party.
It's like, oh no,
Connor's talking to people. No.
it's like, no, Connor's. Wait, there's people out there.
Connor's a
think that
people,
one-
kind of. Who's next?
I can go.
Only in the academic sense of the word is Connor people.
Rallick, go ahead.
Right. I don't think I have anything for the flaw or the ideal for this one, but personality traits, I'm going to take one for that. Concepts like names and identities are just things that you wear for a while and throw away. The best personality is the one that most suits the current situation.
Do not award.
He's been
blip for
4 different
personality
people and
traits.
4 different personalities in this one session. So,
You can gain a blip for alignment, ideal, or flaw.
oh, you can't do that. Okay, I don't have one then.
Okay.
I don't do that. Sorry.
That just leaves Lucius.
I have my ideal knowledge is paramount for looking at the staff and being like, look, we solved this mystery and we need to bring proof of that back to that will do nothing but increase our prestige for solving this decades old mystery, even though that clearly wasn't what the situation called for.
So let me ask you this. If it had been Lucius's decision, because you're right, once you loot one of those rooms, the rest of them seal off irretrievably. So once Gus steps
Lucius
foot
would.
into that first room, the other 4 become unobtainable to you. At least until you get teleported to the roof of the building, at which point it opens back up. So it's not technically a lock. But if it had been Lucius's, if he'd had his druthers...
Oh, he would absolutely take this. In fact, that's where he was going to go. Like before you stopped everybody.
Okay.
You got in my way, Brick Road.
You got him. Gus moved his little man inside the room before you did. This could have gone a very different way indeed.
That's what I get for trying to be polite and let the DM speak. Jeez.
Right.
Then I've got my flaw double or nothing for absolutely shutting the door on playing cards with Rallick. There's absolutely no way Lucius is going to play cards with that man. Ever.
I don't think anybody blames you. You don't play cards with a guy who says, "Oh yeah, good scam." Yeah. All right. So we somebody at level 10, did they not? Or are we still?
Yeah, I'm
nine?
level 10.
You're level 10. So blips are worth 700 experience. Alex, you're at 6 and you've earned 3. Connor, you're at 6 and you've earned 3.
There's 700, you said?
700 each. Gus, you're at 6 and you've earned 4. Lucius, you're at 6 and you've earned 3. Connor, or Rallick, you've earned 2. Do you want to roll them into XP or do you want to come into next session with 2 blips? With 2 blips,
come
you
into-
can re-roll 1 failed check.
Yeah, I'm going to come into it with 2 blips.
All right. Very good. We'll come back next week for... Is this going to be the 3rd time you guys have tried to rob this place? No, you guys didn't
No.
actually try before. You went to
Right.
Sigil.
Correct.
We tried to buy it legitimately, and then
You did.
then
he shut you down.
we actually have a, if I recall correctly, we have in our possession a fake version of the book that Seeker got made.
Yes.
So
All right, so we'll end it there. When we come back next week, we will see about finally stealing this book and relieving Kinzeros of it. Thanks for playing, everybody. See you next Sunday.
Later, friends.
See ya.
Later.